Wake up, wake up. Larry Krueger, Damon Bruce on a Monday. Happy November the 4th. The bye week has ended. The Niners look ahead to the Buccaneers. And will we see Christian McCaffrey at practice today? It's all straight ahead. It's the Krug Show. Join us right now.
Welcome, and wake up indeed. Monday, November 4th. Like Larry said, out of the bye week, so it feels like the season officially begins now. If you wanted to call that whole thing a mulligan, a breakfast ball that we saw over the first 4 weeks, you go right ahead, because whatever the 49ers are going to be, they're going to reveal that to us over the next 2 months. I mean, here it really is. And I'll tell you what, Larry, we got a very interesting NFC West. Might not be as good as it used to be, but that actually might make it a little bit more interesting, because we don't know who's going to come out of this on top. Feels like the 49ers, but all of a sudden, Arizona's interesting. The Rams are up off the mat. And the Seahawks, whenever Geno Smith isn't throwing a 3-pick afternoon, have a chance to beat you too. So this is a very interesting division. Might not be as robust as it was over the last handful of years, but we got a trade deadline that's going to happen tomorrow, and we're all probably going to need some bowls of Cioppino and a lobster roll to come down and self-medicate after an election day, trade deadline day. It's going to be a day where you're on your phones looking for news all afternoon, Larry. It should be an interesting week.
Well, no question. It's going to be a juicy week. Welcome, everybody, to November. I will say this. The division is looking pretty scary suddenly. Not scary, but at least daunting. The Rams didn't run it well yesterday, but Kyron Williams has had a very good year running the football. The Arizona Cardinals did run it really well yesterday, and then you've got Detroit, who runs the ball pretty damn well as well. And I think the one thing that Niner fans and John Lynch specifically is probably thinking about right now is, how can the 49ers improve their run defense? How can they somehow improve their run D? It's like if you can run the ball and stop the run, you got a chance to win. They have not been able to stop opposing teams' running games. They have not been able to, and they've run the ball successfully at times. But the run D, I think, is a major problem. And there's a lot of talk this weekend, Damon, about from Diana Rossini, that the 49ers may have interest in Davin Godchaux from New England, who's a 330-pound, run stuffer. That's what his game is. He's not much of a pass rusher. He's more of a 330-pound wall. So will the Niners make a deal? The other name that was super intriguing that was also released by Rossini was Kyle Duggar, the safety for New England, who's a free safety, a really good free safety. And the Niners have 3 strong safeties. They really don't have a free safety. So if you could tell me that they might be able to maybe move a pick or two and, go to the Patriots and get a couple extra pieces right there. I love the idea of Kyle Duggar at free safety and Davin Godchaux manning that defensive tackle spot. I think it could help them quite a bit. We'll see.
I still think Calais Campbell is an easy to do, no overextending yourself move that is available for them after the Dolphins lose in Buffalo yesterday. I would knock on that door. But Godchaux is definitely a player that, again, he fits kind of what the Niners need. He'd fit financially. I think he's already got a $4 million commitment for next year. He signed up for that. That's absorbable. That's not a number that's going to make them run away from that if they think that that's the right idea. So what they do tomorrow at the deadline, it's probably more around the margins than it's going to be the monster move. I think it was you, Larry, you're talking about Tyreek Hill. Okay, that's going to take some serious.
Okay. We gotta walk this back. I said this on one live stream because I saw 2 different people have videos that said that Tyreek Hill, that they cover the Dolphins and that Tyreek Hill is going to be traded from the Dolphins. There was nothing ever tying it to the Niners. I just threw that out as what I think would be an interesting idea, because I think the Niners need a Tyreek Hill type player. one of the guys that put this out is, I saw the number of views and they got all these people. Oh, they're never gonna. It wasn't like I put out a video or like I said, oh, this is gonna happen. This was a guy asking me a question in a live stream, and I'm like, yeah, I did see a video today of two people saying that that he's going to get dealt from Miami, and now I've got all these people. Oh, you're putting this. It's like, no, dude. Somebody else tweeted that out and connected me to it. I did not. It was hardly like a report. Oh, I'm releasing that Tyreek Hill's getting traded to the Niners. So I don't
breaking here. Courtesy
some people are so desperate for clicks that they'll put anything out, attach my name to it, and all of a sudden now I've got all these people in my grill saying they're not trading for Tyreek Hill. I didn't say they were. I said that they should.
It would make an awful lot of sense. I think he would work great in the offense, but that's also, as hard to digest a cap number that you'd be bringing in with Brock Purdy's contract on the horizon. It just feels like a no-go. I'll tell you, yesterday, if you were watching the bye week, just watching around, Trey Hendrickson had the somebody come and get me game. I think he had a career-high 4 sacks yesterday, Larry, for the Cincinnati Bengals, who still end up did the Bengals win or lose yesterday? The Bengals, that's right. They crushed the Raiders. But that is not an indicator that their year is about to seriously turn around. The Raiders, meanwhile, are firing offensive coordinators and position coaches. So, maybe tinkering around the Raiders is a little bit more palatable today than it was for the Raiders just last week. Now, I'm not talking Max Crosby, but there might be 1 or 2 players that you might want to look at. I just think that when you look around, Azeez Ojulari is it makes an awful lot of sense. It's doable. And I really do think at the deadline, they need to do something. They just can't stay pat, right? I mean, they got to make a move. Doesn't even need to be a big move, but just something.
I mean, I don't know. It's like there's all different ways to look at it. I personally believe Trent Williams said the other day, hey, look, when you trade for a guy at the deadline, gives the room a little extra juice. There's a little extra enthusiasm. There's a little extra hop in everybody's step because the front office is supporting the locker room, so on and so forth. So I do think, you don't make a move just for the sake of making it. But you know what? It's all about improving your football team. And the 49ers have several ways that they can improve their football team. So, and there's several players out there available that can help them. So I'd like to see them get help. Where do they need help? Then that's debatable. Some people would say run defense and they need a defensive tackle or an inside linebacker. Other people would say it's pass rush and they need an edge rusher. Other people would say it's a receiver because they don't really know what they've got at receiver going forward. Other people would say it's offensive line, maybe running back. So all of these needs potentially could be filled. They can't fill them all, though, so they'll have to pick and choose. But they always seem, they've made 8 trades in this regime. 4 of them have brought in D linemen. I think it's probably pretty high likelihood that they'll add a D lineman.
It's amazing how just a few weeks will change a team's perception of itself, where it stands in its own division, in a league, in a conference. I mean, the Rams, I think, are the perfect example of this, right? They beat Seattle to rally to 4-4. And although 4-4 isn't necessarily impressive, it's good enough to be sitting at the poker table in the NFC West. And, this was a 1-4 team with talks of trading Cooper Kupp just a few weeks back. And all of a sudden now, people are starting to see the Rams in a completely different light based on their 3-game winning streak. And I will tell you about this. There are 2 entities in the NFC West that might rank among the most underrated or unexpected. Well, one of the players, I don't think no one's surprised to see James Conner have good games, but like as good of a season as it, James Conner of the Arizona Cardinals might be the most underrated running back in the NFL and the most underrated defense in the NFL, one which came with no pedigree. The minute Aaron Donald retired, everyone said the Rams are just going to be a mess defensively. Well, the Rams defense hasn't given up more than 24 points in any game so far this season. So, I don't know how they measure up in terms of yard-wise or yardage or, defending the pass, defending the run, whatever. Everyone's always got something to complain about. They're not giving up a lot of points. Every single week, they're tough to score on. They really are. And, if Darnold comes out or excuse me, not Darnold, but Stafford comes out and has a good game, you could absolutely be beaten by the LA Rams any single week. So there's something to keep an eye on. Against Seattle, got beaten by the Rams yesterday, Larry. I don't know what to make of Seattle. Again, if Geno Smith's not turning the ball over, they're a little bit, they could beat you. But Geno Smith is the kind of guy who'll have like a 345-yard day, 3 touchdowns, and 3 interceptions. And that's basically what he did against the Rams yesterday. And then Arizona, 5-4 now, right? Arizona's got Kyler. He didn't necessarily play great yesterday against Chicago, Larry, but he's having a really good year. I think he's got like an 11-3 touchdown and interception ratio. The guy is not making the bonehead play in the turnover. And that's the thing that Kyler Murray needed to eliminate. He needed to eliminate the one big mistake that seemed to follow him into every half of football that he played. He's cut that out, and, Arizona's not bad. And like I said, James Conner might be the most underrated offensive player, if not running back, in the NFL. The guy is a total stud, and we could talk about great NFL players for an hour and not get to the name James Conner. He is awesome.
Well, Arizona's coming. I mean, they're going to have a bunch of cap room in the offseason. They'll be able to go out and do some things, and they're definitely coming. The Rams are interesting from the standpoint of, we know that they have great offensive weapons, right? You got Stafford, you got Kyron Williams, Blake Corum, and then you got Cooper Kupp. You got DeMarcus Robinson, who had 2 touchdowns yesterday. You got Tutu Atwell, who's a burner. You got the return of Puka Nacua, though he did get dinged up again. But so they have a lot of weapons on offense, and then they've bolstered their offensive line. But where the Rams have been really, really good this year is that Les Snead is a fantastic GM, and he had a really, really good draft on the defensive side of the ball the last couple of years. I mean, last year they added Kobe Turner and Byron Young, and Kobe Turner and Byron Young both had 6 tackles yesterday and a sack and a TFL and 3 hits on the quarterback each. So those 2 guys are playing incredibly well. This year's draft, they drafted Jared Verse, who's like 2nd in the NFL with pressures. He had a sack yesterday and a hit on the quarterback and 4 tackles and 2 TFLs, and he was everywhere. Braden Fisk from Florida State, he had 2 sacks yesterday and 2 TFLs. I mean, the Rams defense against Seattle's offensive line yesterday had 7 sacks and 11 hits on the quarterback. And then Cam Kinchens, the rookie safety for Miami, had 2 interceptions, including a 103-yard pick 6.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
by the way,
the Rams are playing well.
Watching that live in the bar. We were all at the Dubliner for Plus Mania, and it was the bar. That was a hell of a play, man. You just jumped in front of that and took off like a lightning bolt. It was a fun day just watching football. It really was. The games weren't great, but it was fun to just sit back and relax and not worry about what the Niners were doing, just see how the NFL moves around them. I'll tell you, if I'm the Rams, Larry, I'm getting aggressive before tomorrow. Like, I'm looking to add a linebacker. I'm like looking to add another defensive end if I'm the Rams, and they might have to look another, wide receiver if this Nacua knee injury now is something that they're really worried about going forward. He just came back. They said he's hurt again now. So, we'll see what Arizona, Seattle, and LA do before the deadline tomorrow. And we'll see if the 49ers do get involved. Again, they've been more aggressive than we might have thought over the last few years at the trade deadline. So let's see what they do. I think they got to do a little something. I think just a little bit of a bounce is kind of what they need. All the bad vibes, blah, blah, blah. The right trade for a right player, I think, would ripple really well through that locker room. And I also think that, however Christian McCaffrey looks this week at practice, Larry, is going to be the huge barometer for this locker room. I mean, a really good week of practice playing in Tampa, it could happen. Probably unlikely, but it could happen.
Well, I mean, he didn't get any setbacks last week. He'll practice today, and we'll find out. We'll find out where he's at. I mean, it's I do think they're going to try to ramp him up right now, because if he has a setback, they still have the ability to go out and get somebody. But it's going to be a real interesting couple days, not just for the 49ers with Christian, but around the league. There was talk this weekend that the Chiefs have called and spoken to the Saints about trading for Pro Bowl cornerback Marshawn Lattimore. I mean, could you imagine how good Kansas City is going to be if they could add, they lost L'Jarius Sneed, They traded him in the offseason because of the cap, but if they can turn around and, have Trent McDuffie and now Marshawn Lattimore, the Chiefs could be really, really scary. And then there's awful lot of talk too that the Commanders, who are 7-2, that a bunch of players want to play for them. And they're asking their agents, hey, can you trade me to Washington so I can play with Jaden Daniels? So suddenly Washington has become a huge destination. But the 49ers, it's going to be big to find out, what can McCaffrey do? Can he contribute this week? And then what does he return as? Does he return, and the same with Greenlaw. I mean, Greenlaw, are these guys the same? Are they diminished? Are they, because the one thing that the Niners have never had, they've never had in December or let's say November, a super fresh Greenlaw and a super fresh McCaffrey. Now we don't know what they're going to come back as, but if they come back as the players they were, you're getting a very, very fresh version of Dre Greenlaw and a very, very fresh version of Christian McCaffrey. And who knows, if they come back and don't miss a beat, they could vault this team, to a higher ground and maybe even into and through the NFC playoffs. So it's a tall ask because they're both coming off of career altering type injuries, but they also have been gone a long time. And if they are now healthy and ready to contribute and they're fresh and 100%, that's something we've never seen at this time of the year. So that could be a huge advantage for the Niners, especially on defense.
I agree. Totally agree. And really, when it all comes down to it, coming out of the bye week, hey, Brock Purdy, Kyle Shanahan, you've better gone into the lab and cooked up something a little bit special, a little bit of razzle-dazzle, little something for everybody over your remaining NFL schedule. And look, just look at some of the young quarterbacks in this league, whether they be in their first couple of years or in their rookie year. Look at what uneven performances. Like as we continue to deal with a certain corner of the 49ers room that screams Brock's no good no matter what he does, would you look around the NFL and see how inconsistent quarterback play can be? On players that you would insist are so much better than Brock Purdy and how inconsistent that can all go. Look at Jordan Love yesterday with the Packers. And I wouldn't even call him really young at this point anymore. But look at, Caleb Williams is a screaming example of what a young, talented player in NFL growing pains look like.
CJ Stroud. Look at CJ Stroud Thursday night against the Jets. He was terrible.
His offensive line was just as bad as he was, if not worse. But yeah, it all goes together. It really does. So, can we just pause for how little up and down play we get from Brock Purdy and appreciate that? The games might not be, 5 touchdown, 440-yard passing game, but it's so rare where he has that terrible night that he had the other night with the 3 interceptions and nothing looked right and it was all off. This happens like every 3 weeks to just about every quarterback in football. And it's happened to Brock like once in 27 career starts, So it's pretty unbelievable how consistent he is. And then leaning on that consistency in the second half, matching the consistency that you get out of Purdy with a little bit more aggressive downfield hunting, which is absolutely, been a new wrinkle this year in the 49ers offense. So let's see if there's more of that wrinkle, less of that wrinkle. The coaching points and themes of the second half that Shanahan has been talking to Purdy about during the entire bye week. It'll be really interesting to see what it all looks like, because we know what we're going to get, but do we? Are they going to try to cycle it up to that, like, okay, well, during the bye week, the number one goal was getting Jacob Cowing a 45-yard bomb downfield. We're going to start taking the lid off, and Cowing, it's you. This is what we want you working on during the bye week. You are going to get a deep ball once a half, every half from now until we're done playing football. So it's going to be fascinating, man. It's going to be interesting. This team is not going to lack for interesting in the second half, and they got to come out and beat Tampa. They got to start on the right foot. Enough of this playing from behind. They're 4-4, not where anyone wanted to be, But they got Tampa coming out of the bye week. And by the way, not that it's much of a rest advantage, but Tampa's playing Kansas City tonight on Monday Night Football. That's a day less of prep. So not only do the 49ers have a true rest advantage, they get a rest advantage with a little sprinkle on top because Buccaneers are playing Monday Night Football. So,
and I have money on that one tonight. I went with the 6-team money line parlay yesterday. 6-team money line parlay. Listen to this, dude.
What? So this is the sixth leg. If you hit this tonight, your chicken dinner.
Right. So I had Chargers winner, Bills over Dolphins winner, Ravens over whoever they played winner, Vikings last night over the Colts winner, Commanders over the Giants winner, and I have Chiefs tonight. So it was a $10 wager that if the Chiefs win tonight, wins me $64. There you go.
What'd you put on
$10? $10. $10. Just a little throwaway $10 weekend wager. I had a good
any 5 or 6 leg parlay should pay thousands at all times. I don't care if you're playing money line bets or not. Like, dude, you're getting terrible odds on that.
No, not really. It's a money line parlay with favorites. So you got to remember, it's all based on, if you took underdogs, then your money line parlay could pay really, really good.
Right.
But I mean, if you go look at those matchups, they were all big favorites: Chargers, Bills, Ravens, Vikings, Commanders, Chiefs. But it's also going to cash. It's an easy $10 into 64. So we'll see. Good luck, Chiefs, tonight at home against Tampa Bay. You never know, though. The NFL's weird. I'll give you one from last night, though. I mean, it's just really clear to me that the NFL, they drafted all these young quarterbacks, and nobody's got any patience. I mean, we're talking about Brock Purdy has been the most veteran rookie quarterback of all time. He's had like 3 or 4 disappointing games out of like 25 or 30. You know what I mean? He's generally been incredible. Struggled against Kansas City, struggled against the Ravens on Christmas, has had a couple less than stellar games, but the rest have been incredible. Well, and yet people are still like, pulling their hair out over the inconsistencies. It's like, this is the NFL. The Colts last night pulled Anthony Richardson, who was a top 5 draft choice, after they pulled him. They went with Joe Flacco.
Right.
And they're not going with Anthony Richardson the rest of the year. And it's like, I'm looking around at these teams and I'm thinking to myself, look at all these young quarterbacks in the NFL between Mac Jones, Zach Wilson, Justin Fields, Trey Lance, all these guys that were high first-round picks. And they hit the ground if they're not ready to play, because the owners and the coaches, everybody's so impatient in the NFL. Every coach, I don't care who you are, it could be Kyle Shanahan. Anybody who loses 3 in a row is like, is that guy going to lose his gig? Like Mike McCarthy today. I mean, today the Saints fired Dennis Allen. I referenced it last night. They won. They started 2-0. They were incredible. They look great. They've
Best
lost 7
anyone had ever seen in the history of football. I mean, here come the Saints. Look out, everybody.
They've lost 7 straight, and he's out of a gig. And I think McCarthy's probably a game or 2 away from losing his gig. So I'm just saying that there's so much pressure to win, and yet they keep drafting these super raw young quarterbacks. It's like it's just a recipe for failure. I mean, and that's what you're seeing. Now you've got all these good young quarterbacks who are all sitting on the sidelines now, kind of with the stamp of like failure right on them. I saw that the Panthers, Bryce Young got a win this weekend. Supposedly the Panthers have been called by everybody. All these teams want to steal Bryce Young. So I don't know. I mean, you look around the NFL, it's like, it's amazing. It's like nobody's got any patience to develop any quarterbacks. And so I don't know what you do if you're a bad team, because you're not going to make your team great overnight.
Larry, it's like teams and coaches and front offices are taking their cues from impatient fans.
Yeah.
More than the people
owners
who are supposed to know football know that you gotta give a little time to bake in a career here. And yeah, it's really amazing. There's so many poorly run teams. and we're watching it all play out once again. Again, you can take the Raiders out of Oakland, but until you take the Raiders out of Mark Davis's hands, they are fucked. I mean, there's just no other way to say it. The Raiders, have a first year, probably over promoted head coach in Antonio Pierce, who apparently was given the job because he really liked the Raiders growing up in Compton, and the guys in the locker room really liked them. Okay, if an entire NFL locker room says this is our guy, then you go ahead and you give the guy a good support team. Give him some good assistant coaches. Well, as soon as they hired Luke Getsy, I knew that Antonio Pierce is probably going to be fired at the end of this year too, because Luke Getsy was awful in Chicago. I remember calling JT the Brick immediately, just laughing. I left him one of those, you hired Luke Getsy? What? Why? Oh, that's so fun. That's the most Raider fucking thing in the world, JT. And he's like, oh, no, what do you know, man? What do you? I'm like, I know. I've been watching this guy do nothing in Chicago. It's got nothing to do with the quarter. He sucks. Trust me. Trust me. Well, Luke Getsy got fired today, and 9 games as the offensive coordinator. That's not enough time for anything to come together. It's not. I mean, the impatience is ridiculous. They also let go, the Raiders did, of their offensive line coach, James Craig, and quarterback coach, Rick Scangarello.
Scangarello, who was here.
That guy gets fired every 3 minutes.
He was here with the Niners.
Yeah. Look, bad teams are always unstable. Bad teams are always dealing with a lack of consistency. And that's all it ever is with Mark Davis and the Raiders. This coach gone, that coach gone, this quarterback's got to go, this GM's got to go. The owner's got to go. It's the owner. And unfortunately, you can't get rid of the owner. And like you said, Larry, Saints fired Dennis Allen. 7th straight loss, 18-25, and regressing after taking over for Sean Payton. It's time for the Saints to move on from Derek Carr and just go full rebuild. They should trade every single asset by the deadline tomorrow.
Teams don't do that. But yeah, I mean, Alvin Kamara, you want to move Alvin Kamara, Marshawn Lattimore, you might be able to get a few players.
Dennis Allen's never going to get another head coaching job, and nor should he. I mean, that's it. That's it for Dennis Allen.
I mean, the Carr deal was terrible. He's owed $30 million in base salary next season, and that's only year 3 of this 4-year contract. So, they're going to have to figure out what to do.
It's the second time Dennis Allen's been fired with Derek Carr as a starting quarterback.
Yeah.
Probably doesn't want to see him in.
Might want to go in a different direction.
Might want to go in a different direction. By the way, Larry, you want to hear the single most shocking stat of the NFL that I've heard all year? Here it is. And this came with the Bears' loss to Arizona. And the Bears have won like a road game on a Monday night or a Thursday night. But the Chicago Bears haven't won a road game on a Sunday since December 26, 2021.
Wow.
1,044 days. 1,044 days since the Chicago Bears won a road game on a Sunday. I mean, what? Seriously?
They're pretty good at home, but they don't win on the road.
Good God. I mean, just not on Sundays. I mean, maybe, if you see the Bears on your schedule on Monday Night Football, okay, maybe. When the Bears come and play the 49ers, is that a Sunday game? What is that?
Yeah.
Okay, then there Sunday. You go. Automatic W, Niners. Congrats. You're going to go at least 1-7 in the second half. I know it.
This next 24 hours is going to be interesting for sure, because there's going to be a bunch of trades you would think that could be coming down. There's a report that the Lions are on the verge of trading for Zadarius Smith. Of course, they've lost Aiden Hutchinson and Marcus Davenport for the year. They've reached out to the Raiders about Max Crosby. Mark Davis has made it clear he's not 3-time Pro Bowl defensive end is not available. But there's a bunch of guys who are rumored to be available. To me, the New York Giants are shopping Darius Slayton, the wide receiver, and Azeez Ojulari.
You were talking a package deal for them last week.
Yeah, I mean, I think that would make a lot of sense. Neither are believed to have been the subject of any Giants extension talks, so there's a lot more smoke around them being traded. Slayton has basically said that he'd like to stay there. Ojulari has said that he'd like to stay there as well, but it sounds like the Giants are looking to move those guys. Baron Browning, the defensive end from Denver, they're saying could be available. Jacoby Myers, the receiver from the Raiders, could be out there. Excuse me.
Gazoon tight.
Woo. Yeah. So this is going to be an interesting, day or two. Peanut the Squirrel says 49ers need a defensive end or a free safety. Or how about both? They could really use both. We get this one from Patrick D. Says, Larry, the Niners should go after Godshaw and Duggar, maybe Kendrick Bourne too. See, New England might be a good fit for the Niners. I mean, I don't love Bourne, but he definitely knows the offense. Godshaw's a big run stuffer, and Duggar is that free safety who's a great player. I mean, you would probably have to trade a third-round pick, maybe something more, maybe a second-round pick. But Duggar is really good. So, I mean, if they could get to me, if you could get Godshaw and Duggar, that would really help their defense quite a bit. It would give them a run plugger on that defensive line, and it would give them a true free safety. And then that would allow Jair Brown and Malik Mustafa and Afonga, when he gets right, to all just focus on playing, in the box, strong safety, up on the line of scrimmage. I think if they did those, if they made that move, because they haven't had a free safety all year, I think that would really help them.
I'll pass on Kendrick Bourne. I'd rather this team explore younger players that are on their own roster than get Kendrick Bourne back in here to just do very little. So
he's not fast enough. They need more speed. If they're going to go for a receiver, if you're going to add a receiver from outside, go find somebody who can run a little bit.
Well, and I hope the red zone receiver that they're adding in a week or two from now is Christian McCaffrey.
Yeah.
Maybe taking a little load off of him means fewer carries and more lining up in the slot. Maybe that's a better thing for him and his health and ramping him back up and in. But that's the guy. I mean, that's seriously, that's the guy that is either going to change it all or the year really didn't change that much. And the 49ers were just, sort of a frustrating, definition of also ran. They were out there, they didn't embarrass themselves, but they never separated themselves. And when they play the best teams, they get beat. So
they can't lean on him. I mean, just because he's coming back doesn't mean that they need to lean on him. Let him come back and work him in slowly. Don't give him 20 touches in the first couple weeks. Give him 10. Use Garendo, use Mason, use your other guys. I mean, they used him too much last year, and that burned him at the end, I think.
Larry, I remember we got a note from Kevin Krueger last week, and it was get to the super chats in the show. So let's do it. Let's get to those super chats.
All right. Stockton Slap 209 says, Rams are back. We'll win it all. Sorry, 1994 losers.
There you go. Rams, everybody. Bet the farm.
Rams.
They're back.
Wow. A man from Stockton. Stockton Slap 209. Rams D-line is vicious. AD might come back too. Yeah, AD's not coming back.
Well,
but
Anthony
Verse
Davis.
yeah, Aaron Donald. But Jared Verse is an amazing player.
He looks good.
Fuji Simeon says, Trent Baalke voice, Larry, I'm a Reardon guy. Reardon beat Sarah. But alas, Sacred Heart fell to the Wildcats. The Wildcats took their juice boxes. There you go. That's right. SI beat SH. SH, you're phony. We got the Bruce Mahoney.
Is that was that at the Kezar over the weekend?
Yeah. Yep. SISH. And then Reardon Sarah. I guess Reardon beat Sarah in your backyard. A little WCAL action.
I know that there was a game, very, very crowded neighborhood, very crowded, but the parking during Reardon High School football games in my neighborhood, it gets tight.
There is a rumor out here that Kev just put out, or he didn't put out, but he just sent me. I had already retweeted it. The rumor says several NFL teams have reached out to the Jaguars for 5-time Pro Bowl offensive guard Brandon Scherf. The 49ers are one of the teams that reached out. What do you make of that? I mean, you have Dom Pooney at guard, at right guard. You have Aaron Banks, who's a second-round pick, at left guard. What do you make of that? I mean, Pooney supposedly has the ability to play other spots. Do you think that's a Pooney moves to center and Scherf plays right guard? I mean, Scherf's not a center. Pooney might be.
Yeah, I mean, no. I mean, I am not moving Dominic Pooney right now unless Pooney is literally in the Niners locker room saying, like, yeah, dude, you kick me out to tackle, I got you. You put me at center, I got you.
Yeah, I mean, he might be able to play. I don't think he can play tackle, but I think he might be able to play center. Give you a wall.
Here's the deal. If that trade is going to happen, it needs to happen before wake up ends, Larry. Like, I mean, the amount of run up that you can't wait to the deadline to get that deal done. If that deal's getting done, it needs to be done right now. And Pooney needs every single snap at his new position this week.
Joking? Are you the deadline's tomorrow? So you're saying it has to be done today and not tomorrow?
Like you can't waste a minute. You can't waste a minute. You're going to have a rookie move positions who's been fantastic at his position.
But I know, but
an awful lot.
Does it make a big difference if it's today or tomorrow?
Yes. Give it 24 more hours might be the difference, Larry, in the Super Bowl. Do you want to win the Super Bowl? Get it done today.
I do. It does. You know, that is interesting, though. It does make you wonder. They're not going to bench Pooney. I don't think they're benching Banks. So I think that might mean that Pooney's either moving to right tackle and they're benching McKivitz, or Pooney's moving to center and they're benching Brendel. I'd probably do that. I don't know.
Wouldn't it be easier to just ask Feliciano to play center if you're having problems at center here? Isn't trading for a high-priced, high-profile guard sort of the wrong thing to do at this point in time?
I don't know how they view, here's the thing. We have our perceptions of how they view their players, and then there's the reality. I don't know. I mean, I think the perception is that, that Banks is good and that Pooney's good, but maybe the reality is that one of them isn't, or the perception is that Brendel's good, but maybe he isn't. And maybe they feel the need to, they're not, I'll say this, they don't get a lot of, they're not running in the low red zone well at all. So they're not really getting any pop at the line of scrimmage between the tackles, in the run game. So I don't know. Though Forster has maintained that Brendel's his guy. That seems odd to me, but we'll see.
Everything's business as usual until it isn't. So of course he's going to say glowing things right up until the change happens, right? You
get the feeling though that Forster's invested in Brendel. I don't know. We'll see. Stockton slaps his Dodgers win it all, and the Rams are next. Sorry, hater. Yeah. All right.
Who are you talking to? No one gives a shit.
I have no idea. Who can? Yeah, seriously. Sorry, hater. Fuji Simeon, Damon, IU 9-0. I bet them this weekend, by the way. That was one of my wins on Saturday. That was an easy wager. They fell behind early, but then they dominated.
It was 10-0, and then 47 unanswered. It's just,
dude, they're awesome.
Indiana's the 8th ranked team in the country this morning.
Not only that, they've got some. If you look closely at their team, they've got some amazing freaking players. This kid, Mikhail Kamara, off the edge rusher, amazing. Don't they have a corner named Pons?
Derek Pons. The guy's unbelievable.
That guy's amazing. The receiver that they have,
Elijah Surratt. Remember the name right now. Elijah Surratt is an NFL receiver for sure.
They got another guy. They have two guys named Kamara. I mean, they're stacked. I mean, they look good. I bet them it was like IU -4, something like that.
I think it was
6. They fell into a 10-0 hole, and then they just dominated. I took them in Iowa, and that was an easy Saturday. We got this one from Joseph Ernberg. Brock is either terrible or decent. Damon, wake up.
Okay, that's it. He's never been good, terrible, or he's topped out at decent. That's it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Decent.
Thank you.
Wow. Fuji Simeon, I'm surprised Dennis Allen got fired before Peterson. Do both Balky and Peterson get fired at the end of the year? Many open coaching spots now. Yeah, I'd say for sure for sure Peterson and Balky are done.
So there was a guy
Maybe
who was
Belichick.
tagging along with someone who came to Plusmania, and he had listened to the show too. But he was there with a friend more than he came to come to the bar. And I don't know if he had any money on the game, but there are the Jaguars at the end of that game looking to score what would be the go-ahead touchdown. There's like a minute 48 left in the game. It's 1st and goal, and Trevor Lawrence gets picked throwing a fade on the very first play of the 1st and goal series. What are you doing throwing right there? You want to get the clock moving. You want to go ahead and get your tick tock, score late. Eagles don't have enough time to come back and score on you. Like, what are you doing? Doug Peterson should have been fired on that first down play call alone. Like, down, distance, time left in a game. Fucking, are you an NFL head coach or what? Come on, man. Like, I know when I'm playing, a college football on PlayStation, that clock moves really slow. And if I give the ball back to the other team with about 40 seconds, that they can score. I mean, you've got to kill time. Why time management?
You know what? That's another one. That was another game. The Eagles were 7.5-point favorites in this game against the Jags. I asked Chase Sr. because he covers the Eagles. I'm like, what do you think? He's like, yeah, I think the Eagles are going to cover that number. And as the morning got closer, I'm like, you know what? I can go with the Eagles on the money line, but there's no way I'm going with the Eagles on that spread. They just don't finish anybody. They don't finish. Sure enough, the Eagles in this game got up 22-0 in the second half. It was 22-0, and the final was 28-23, and they didn't cover.
Did you see the Saquon Barkley backwards hurdle?
Yeah, which was the weirdest thing I think I've ever seen in a football game.
Unbelievable.
I mean, how did you even know to do that?
How did you see a player coming when you were facing the other way and know exactly how to leap over him? He leapfrogged the guy fanning first. It was amazing. It was amazing. I don't know Saquon Barkley had that. I've never seen that on the and like you said, I've never seen that.
I saw a highlight this weekend of what's it called? Like Pee-wee football. And this kid was like no more than like a foot tall. And he's running down the sideline. He's running. The kids are all chasing him. And then he gets to like the 45-yard line. And he literally turns around and runs 3 steps backwards. And because it's Pee-wee football, the entire crowd of pursuing defenders also turned around and ran back towards him. And then he pivoted around and ran the distance for the touchdown. I mean, it was awesome. But I'm starting to feel
adorable, right?
I'm seeing that in the NFL. Yeah, I mean, it was cute. I mean, it really was cute. We got this one here. Did I get that last one? Wait a second. I don't think I got that last one. Side note, to be honest, I'm shocked the Giants have 2 Gold Glove winners for this past season, Chapman and Bailey.
Yeah.
Bailey got the hardware. He won it today.
Yes, he did. Bailey got his Gold Glove, first of his career. This is, I think, the 5th for Matt Chapman. Both of those guys were the most run-robbing, from Bailey's standpoint, strike zone frame. Look at it this way. If Bailey can ever figure out what to do with a bat, he can be a hell of a major leaguer because he is an outstanding defensive catcher. But
imagine if the Giants pitchers could hold anybody on. Because, I mean, he's a great catch and throw guy, and they can't hold anybody on. Fuji Simeon says, do you think the Giants attempt to re-sign Blake Snell? Not going to trick myself into thinking Giants make an offer to Soto, Adames, Rizzo, Alonso, or Kim. I think they'll go after Kim for sure. How about this? I think they'll try to sign Blake Snell, but I don't think he'll come back.
I think he walks away from this team as fast as humanly possible.
He was really good in the second half, but you know what?
Should have traded him. He should have traded him the minute he had 2 good starts right before the deadline. He fucked that up. It's his last gift, parting gift from
Farhan. Doesn't understand how to be a GM. I mean, seriously, especially on a bad team. He was always worried about like sending messages, and it's like, dude, you're supposed to be building. You're supposed to be building.
Farhan tried to save his own bacon with a token playoff appearance this year, so he kept the I think we can contend. Total facade, illusion up far too long. Like, I knew they weren't going anywhere. You knew they weren't going anywhere. Mark Willard was convinced that they were going to go to the NLCS, but, they're just Mark.
Fuji Simeon says, side note, Warriors almost losing after leading by 31. Hey, Warriors are 5-1. They're playing great. Buddy Hield is looking great. Lindy Waters is looking great. Cyrus is still, pulling his hair out because he can't blame Kerr.
All I can tell you is that don't be upset when your favorite NBA team lets go of a big lead in a game that they still win. In the NBA, the 20-point lead is the new 20-point lead is the old 10-point lead, Larry. 20 points.
Yeah, I mean, don't
vanishes
bet NBA.
In an NBA game.
Never bet NBA. Never, ever, ever, ever. But one other note on the Warriors. I'm not down with the trading 21-year-old Jonathan Kuminga for 35-year-old Jimmy Butler. I mean, how many times? Seriously, you want to take your team from the top to the bottom? Keep trading 21-year-old players for 35 and 38-year-old players. Last year it was Poole for Paul. This year it's going to be Kuminga for Butler. The Warriors are going to wind up with absolutely nothing. And they're going to sit there and be like, well, what the hell? Why? How come we have nothing? Because you keep trading young assets for old assets and then letting those old assets walk away because you want to reset your cap. I hate the first day that I saw a legitimate crack in the Giannis wants to stay in Milwaukee idea. So now, like, finally he's like saying, maybe I don't want to stay in Milwaukee. And the very first day, and you've got Jonathan Kuminga is one of the greatest trade pieces in the entire league. And You're talking about trading him for 35-year-old Jimmy Butler. How about don't do that and trade him to Milwaukee as part of a bigger deal for Giannis?
Yeah, for 29-year-old, just never seen that before. Like, I think that's the right way to describe what Giannis is. First of all, don't trade Jonathan Kuminga. Let's just start with that as the mantra going forward. And then the whole
such a rush.
No one's going to want to pay him that max deal. Well, he's going to be a max player because it's going to happen. Like, it close to it if he keeps on progressing like this. And look, he was really good in overtime. He was really good in Houston. And it feels if he can just get the pouting done and be cool with coming off the bench, Kuminga has a chance to make himself a huge amount of money this year. So
why does he have to come off the bench? I mean, shouldn't this guy wants the same kind of money that Franz Wagner got, which is like $228 million. I don't think he should be coming off the bench. I think they ought to be playing him.
All I'm going to tell you right now is if Buddy Hield can come off the bench, so can Jonathan Kuminga, because Buddy Hield, it looks like he was born to play for the Warriors. Looks like he was born to play for Steve Kerr.
It's awesome. It's awesome. Buddy Hield is a better Warrior than he was a King. Blood Moon says, get Olave. His family said New Orleans isn't worth it. Ouch. G. Wilson price went up. Who's G. Wilson?
Garrett.
Oh, Garrett Wilson's price went up. Njoku's waiting to go. ETN. Rams didn't beat Seattle. Geno did. F them. Picks. John Lynch.
So
I'm not a big Olave fan.
Chris Olave is, he was brought to a medical center and I believe is suffering from his fourth concussion right now. By the way, did you see former Saints wide receiver was Michael Thomas just destroying Derek Carr on Twitter?
My son was telling me about it. I didn't actually hear any of the things he said.
Just killing the guy, just saying this, medicine balls and he's scared. He gets scared. He panics. He throws the ball. That's kind of the book on Carr that he gets.
He's a terrible quarterback. He's the opposite of Purdy. Purdy's got this great feel and does all these things naturally. Carr does nothing naturally and has terrible feel. Fuji Simeon, is the future plan to have Nick Zakelj or Colton McKivitz play center? Well, that could be it too. They could be a shakeup. They could move McKivitz. That could be it right there. They could move Pooney to tackle, Scherf to guard, and McKivitz to center. It'd be an awful lot of movement, but they could shake it up.
Look at it this way: if Dominic Pooney can and does do that,
well,
He's your Len Ashmont Award winner this year.
Yeah. I mean,
Holy
seriously,
shit. Like, are you telling me
how many guys you plug and play at guard, and then all of a sudden you can move them in the middle of the year to maybe center or tackle, and they don't miss a beat? Yeah,
in
I
a
mean, that'd
rookie
be amazing.
year? It'd be unbelievable. It'd be unbelievable. Like, congratulations. You've drafted one of the single greatest offensive linemen that'll ever play for your franchise if he can do that.
Fuji Simeon says, Damon, is it too early to whisper of a dream? IU in the Big Ten championship game in Indy. Would you go to that or a bowl game? Would you go to a Indiana bowl game?
Well, I'd sure love to. I mean, there's no doubt about that. Time away from
what bowl game could they go to? Could they go? Because you've already been down to Rose Bowl this year to see them once.
Rose Bowl. Yeah,
could they go to the Rose Bowl again?
Yeah, if they're Big Ten champions, yeah, they probably go to the Rose Bowl here in the first playoff. You know, that's the thing. So if Indiana makes the college football playoffs, but without a Big Ten championship, they would then host somebody in Bloomington in that first round of playoff action. I don't know if I would go to that game, but if they won that game and then went on to like the Cotton Bowl, the Rose Bowl, the Sugar Bowl, the fucking Citrus, whatever it is.
Dude, they're good. They're good. They're going to win in the playoffs. I don't know if they're going to. We'll see what their matchup is in the first round, but I think they're probably going to get to the second round at least.
I think
they look good.
We're already favorites over Michigan. I got to see what that number is. I heard yesterday it was like a 10-point favorite over Michigan. I mean, that's unbelievable. And then
I won money on Buckeyes too over Penn State.
One of the questions that I was asked, by the way, James Franklin's got to go. That guy can't win a big game. He's arguing with students.
Mixing it up with a fan. Come on, James Franklin.
But look, I was asked yesterday at the Dubliner, why aren't you talking more Indiana football? Like, this is the best season you've ever lived in your life. Why aren't you talking about it more? And I'm like, honestly, I'm so afraid to put the wrong thing into the air. Look at how well they've done with me remaining silent. I have like,
you could do videos on it though. You might be able to do some videos on it, and you should do some videos on just some of the star players. That what you got to do to get tons of views on it is you got to go 3 Indiana players that will be in the draft that the Niners may draft. And then,
I don't even.
Then you talk Indiana football all day, right, and all of a sudden you get all these views from Niner fans going, "Ooh,
right,
Mikhail Kamara,
yeah." No, look, that's. I don't even think like that yet. That's how new at YouTube I still am. But yes, that's you. I need to.
Way to do it.
I need you to probe your YouTube cunning mind, Larry.
Yes. Well, my cunning mind is just. I just talk to Kev and he tells me what to do.
There you go. See, that's the thing. I need a 20-year-old son to tell me what to do on the internet.
So Jack, grow up faster. Fuji Simeon. Wait a second.
Oh, what do we got?
I don't know.
It's a trade. It's an election.
Go.
The Larry phone's ringing. The bat phone's ringing.
Get to practice. Fuji Simeon says, sorry, Damon, thought super chats split on live streams. If Reardon Sports lead to parking needs, you can lease out your parking or your driveway for ganja jar funds.
That's all right, Fuji. Thank you so much for being so generous, though. I really don't care which way it goes. It's great to know. By the way, this is true from Ragnar. Hold on, Larry. Let me put this one up. Don't Bruce it. Totally, Ragnar. Totally. It might have been me this entire time, so I don't want to Bruce it.
Ooh, look at this one from Sven. Chances the Niners get Defoe back or Jordan Addison. Well, first of all, why would the Vikings trade anybody? This is the best team they've had in a while.
Especially,
by the way, Sam Darnold keeps throwing picks. Have you noticed that? Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold is better, but he's still Sam Darnold, and he still throws interceptions. I threw 2 more last night. But yeah, no, I don't think Jordan Addison's going anywhere, and I don't think the Colts are going to move Defoe. But I'd love to have him. To me, if you're looking for a defensive lineman, it's probably that Davin Godchaux. That's probably the guy.
Godchaux have done well in San Francisco. Keith Godchaux and his wife, Donna Jean Godchaux, were both members of the Grateful Dead, Larry. So
look at that. That's good. That's good. Grateful Dead. Here we go, Joseph Ernberg. Larry told me personally that we're getting Myles Garrett. Yes, no,
Larry called my wife to let me know that this Tyreek Hill trade is going to happen. He didn't talk to me directly, but he mentioned it to Jillian. So
yes. So I'm off to Niner practice today. We've got Shanahan talking at noon, roughly, in Santa Clara. Then practice afterwards. And then open locker room afterwards. So we'll go down there, see what we can get going, and then tonight I'll be back at 6:00 for Niners Nightly with a guest. I'm not sure who, but tonight we'll talk a little football.
I doubt it'll be Damon Bruce. Just throwing that out there.
Well, you never know. You never know.
Look at it this way: if you do get some one-on-one time with Dominic Pooney, your only question's got to be: so if you had to move, would you rather be center or tackle?
Yeah, seriously. Wait. Ricardo Rodriguez, breaking trade. 49ers trade John Lynch and Trent Baalke so the 49er fans have something to really whine about. Baalke set to speak, though, through Larry Krueger live on his show.
Well, all I can tell you is that Trent Baalke is more comfortable with me doing interviews than anybody. And if you're going to trade for Trent Baalke, you want to get that deal done before Thanksgiving. So you can ask Trent what his favorite side dish will be, and then he'll sidestep that.
You know, I would like to say mashed potatoes, but I have a feeling it could come back to haunt me.
My favorite side dish, Damon, is a win. How about a win?
Trent, your mother never served a win on Thanksgiving. This is a question about food. What do you want? He's like,
all right, give me some green beans.
And I was like, that's a terrible fucking answer.
The worst answer of all time, green beans.
I mean, at least put a little almondine or something in there. Just, come on, man. Green beans.
Green beans. That's
green
beans are a waste of plate real estate on Thanksgiving. I mean, you only have so much real estate on your plate. You know what I mean? You're doing too much salad or green beans. You're doing it wrong.
You know what? You hear him answer green beans, and all of a sudden the Shiloh Rashal draft pick makes sense.
I wish if we could go back in time and you could inject that reply, that would be awesome.
That would have been good.
I'm going green beans, Damon. Yeah, that explains the Shiloh Rashal pick. Oh, that would have just been epic. Oh, that would have been epic. They'd be running that drop today to this minute.
I swear to God, the 49ers were playing. I don't know if they just played the Raiders or they were about to play the Raiders, but Trent was giving a very evasive, not answering any question interview that I was doing. And so I said, Trent, let's get back to basics. What color shirt are you wearing right now? What color shirt are you wearing? Can you answer that for me?
I don't like to talk about the color of my shirt.
No, and he's like,
I'm wearing a red shirt, Damon. I'm a Niner. I'm wearing a red shirt today.
Thank you very much, Trent. Interview. We go to commercial break. During the commercial break, Bob Sargent texts me. He's like, he's wearing a black shirt. I just don't think he wanted to say he was wearing a black shirt during Raiders week.
That's awesome. He's lying about his shirt.
I mean, this is not information that's going to get you in trouble, Trent. It was unbelievable.
Paranoid.
Unbelievable. Yeah, by the way, GMs with confidence answer the shirt question correctly.
Nathan Hyatt, Baalke eats by IV. Yeah, exactly.
He does have painted on skin. He's in great shape. He really is. He does work out. You can tell.
Yeah, because he spends all that time. He should be watching fucking film, and he's sitting there doing push-ups and sit-ups.
The preacher curl.
This, yeah, a little less workout, and give me a little bit more of a fat body and a few more players. How about that?
Dad bod, more game time, more game film.
give me somebody that can rush the passer. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, speaking of
third downs.
Speaking of dad bods, speaking of getting fat, yeah. Larry, show him. Roll the tape, baby. We have no. I'm not looking at you. I guess I'm looking at you through the camera. But yeah, no. Let me see Half Moon Bay, baby. Take me down to Sam's Chowder House. Take me down to Sam's Chowder House. Show everybody how great this looks. What a fabulous idea is. Look, maybe you're in the Bay Area. You got family coming into town over the holidays. Thanksgiving family coming in. Nobody wants to cook ahead of Thanksgiving dinner. So, like, maybe if you got family coming to town during Thanksgiving week, you go down to Sam's, have a great lunch down there, a great dinner down there. It's just fantastic. Maybe look for a chowder mobile in your neighborhood, in your area from Sam's. Chattermobiles prowling around the Bay Area. And again, everybody cooks at the end of November. So you're going to want to go to a restaurant or two to take away the cooking, mandatory life that you're about to be living. So go to Sam's.
Well, it's that's a great idea, by the way. So many people eat turkey leftovers, all that stuff, around Thanksgiving. Sam's is a good alternative. You're trying to, wet the palate with something that's not turkey and heavy gravy and that kind of thing. Go have a seafood dinner at Sam's. You will not be disappointed. You will not be disappointed. We have one more super here from Fuji Simeon. Larry, for 49er media sessions, is it first come, first serve for seating, or do reporters and media people have their own seats?
No assigned seats.
No assigned seats. No assigned seats. There are in the media room, assigned
desks,
cubicles, but I don't have one, believe it or not. So I just kind of go wherever there's an open seating. You'd think I would have one by now, but I don't. So I don't have my name on a media seat. So sometimes if I get there, there'll be like TV people sitting in my cubicle where I normally sit. And I never say anything because I really don't care. And it's not my cubicle. It doesn't have my name on it. But then in the media room, like the auditorium, it's just, sit wherever you want.
Look, there's a lot I don't like about Levi Stadium. That media room, that little auditorium that Shanahan and Lynch talked to us from is pretty nice. I mean, that's like a 75-seat auditorium.
The whole team meets in there.
Yeah.
Which makes me hard to believe sometimes because I'm like, how do these linemen fit in these chairs? Because they're pretty small. But I'll say this for the 49ers, unlike the Warriors, they don't try to sit there and evaluate who's worthy of asking a question and who's too scary to ask Steve Kerr a question. So Shanahan just takes on all comers. You know what I mean? So like you sit in the media room and you have a question you can ask. You can't do that with the Warriors. You can't ask Steve Kerr a question. You're probably not going to be able to do that with Bob Melvin if you go into his post game, little sit down with the media.
Right. You're going to be vetted
everybody
in one way.
Can ask.
Right. You're going to be vetted in some way, or they're going to play they'll see your hand up. And then Raymond Ritter will give you the one more question. And it's, and it's going to be Monty Poole. So that they're not going to get to you.
Saying, Steve, aren't your weaknesses really your strengths? No,
you'd say no, but my strengths will never be my weakness.
Aren't the things that you screw up on actually designed to make you better? You know what I mean? It's like these questions. There is no negativity. Everything's super positive. You guys blew a 15-point lead, but you guys play tomorrow night, and there's another opportunity to get back tomorrow night. I mean, it's just, the overwhelming positivity of some of these questions is just
all
incredible.
soft landing areas.
Exactly.
We used to, Larry, we used to play on, playgrounds that were concrete and rubble and broken glass. Playgrounds now all throughout the city of San Francisco have these really nice rubber landing areas for all the kids under the monkey bars and the swing sets. Like if you fall off of a playground apparatus, you're basically landing on the same level of surface that gymnasts do their floor routines on. Like it bounces. It's nice, but this is why kids are growing up total pussies. They're not hitting their heads on concrete.
I'll tell you what, it was famous when I was a little kid that you'd always see, there would be some kid with just a massive egg on his head.
Oh, that was
from running into another kid.
Mm-hmm.
It was like I thought it was it was common as hell to see those massive eggs on people's head.
Jack just had one the other day. He came back. He was running around at school. He fell, smacked his head on the concrete, and he had a big old, a knot on his forehead. And my wife,
kind of scary.
His grandmother's like, "Oh, what do we do?" I'm like, "That's what little boys do." If 2 days from now I say, "What's your name?" and he doesn't say Jack, then we'll take him to the hospital. But we should be all right. Historically, kids are tough.
Yeah, I will say this. I mean, as a parent who's had 4, and I've seen it all at this point. One time, my older kids took our youngest kid and were lifting him up and dropped him on his head on the hardwood floor. Right? Oh my God, I couldn't believe it.
So
and
so it was Kevin was doing the dropping. He wasn't the droppee.
I don't know if it was Kevin exactly. It might have been one of the other kids, but somebody dropped our youngest kid on the hardwood floor and he bumped his head. Well, his head, he didn't look right. It's like his eyes were a little recessed and he actually vomited a couple times.
Oh,
and
that's concussion. That's concussion.
That's when we had to take him to, ER and
yeah,
all checked out. So
that's
all I would say is if Jack vomits or anything like that, anything, watch him closely.
Yeah, no, he's fine. This was weeks ago. We're already past it. We're good.
But that's the one thing you look for. You look for that. Otherwise, kids bump their heads all the time and they get those big eggs on their head. That's going to do it for us. That is going to do it for us.
Larry, it's like in Grumpier Old Men, great line by Burgess Meredith. Don't worry. Kids eat quarters all the time. If she craps 2 dimes in a nickel, then you got a problem.
Exactly.
Hey, everyone, get to Sam's Chowder House. Thanks to them for being the sponsor of this show. It's Tampa Bay Buccaneers week. We're going to start focusing in on this coming game on Wednesdays and on Thursday's show. Maybe we're going to book someone to bring around, but thanks for being with us for the first half of this year. Thanks for being with us for the second half of this year. We're going to see the numbers for Wake Up and really everything we do just start ticking up because here it is. If you've been waiting for football season to start in football season, wait no longer. It is football season right now. Here it is. This is gots to have it. Margin for error is hard to find. It's time to play winning football. So I'm all in, Larry. It's good to be with you, brother. Thank you very much. I hope you had a great time. Pig and a Pickle, I heard your event was fantastic yesterday. We had a really good time at the Dubliner. Next time, let's make sure we coordinate our calendars a little bit better.
I know. We will. Thanks to everybody who showed up yesterday at the meet and greet at Pig and a Pickle. And as Trent Baalke would say,
it's Buccaneer week. And you know what? That Baker Mayfield's a football guy. But I want to see him go down hard on Sunday.